Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well today. Please stand by. We will begin our program in a few minutes. Before we start today's event, here are some reminders for our participants. Please make sure that your microphones are turned off unless required by the speaker or you have a query. Cameras are not required but are highly appreciated and encouraged to be turned on, most especially when the speaker is asking you to. The event will be recorded as soon as the program proper starts. Also, please change your names into your registered or actual names. Please make sure to avoid using nicknames. Okay, use the Zoom chat box only if you have any questions or when asked by the hosts. If you have any concerns, please kindly send a direct message to any of the event organizers. And also let us uphold the intellectual property policy. All materials to be produced by a resource speaker are not to be reproduced, shared, or used without any appropriate permission. Thank you so much. Once again, a beautiful afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you're having a great week so far, but I'm sure with our event today, your day will become even more exciting because we have a lot in store for you. I am Trexie Centro, one of the clinical interns here at Excelsis, your host for today. So I'm delighted to welcome you all to the Acceptance and Commitment Skill Building. As early as now, we would like to thank everyone who have decided to dedicate their time to joining us this afternoon. I'm sure it will be a time well spent for all of you. Now, before we start, we would like to request everyone to join us in the invocation to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
You called me out upon the water, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep. My faith was dim. And I will call upon your name and keep
Now, to formally start today's event, may we call on Ms. Lalai to give her opening remarks. Let us give her a virtual round of applause, please.
Thank you, Ms. Trixie, for that. Happy afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to open this webinar on acceptance and commitment skill building and to welcome you to this event. We are excited to have you here. Your participation shows your continued strong commitment to learn and grow. This is indeed a great opportunity. This talk, which is part of being in the helping profession, being a mental health professional, being in the business of caring for individuals, not only provides unique learning and informational materials, but also a tool we can use to provide service to others. With the extraordinary changes and challenges we have been seeing and having since the start of the pandemic, it is only necessary to nurture ourselves to more insightful learning. In behalf of Excelsior Psychological Services, we thank you most warmly for your participation and wish you all success with this webinar. Thank you for your attention po. Now, I would like to pass the virtual floor to our host, Ms. Trixie, to introduce our speaker.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lalai. That was really wonderful. I'm sure everyone here with us is excited and happy as much as I am to take part in such an informative event as this one. So I'm sure our participants can't contain their curiosities anymore about today's webinar. That's why, without further ado, let's introduce our speaker. Our speaker graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science majoring in Educational Psychology from De La Salle University, Manila. As a recipient of the prestigious Australia Award Scholarship in 2016, he completed his degree in Master of Counseling from Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. While earning his postgraduate degree, he also completed a graduate diploma course in positive psychology and well-being from the Langley Group in Melbourne. In 2021, he finished another master's degree in educational psychology from Ateneo de Davao University. He has completed multiple trainings in the fields of mental health, positive psychology, well-being, and counseling. His training includes being a certified mental health first aider in Australia, mental health first responder in the Philippines, applied suicide intervention skills training, and Safe Talk, a suicide alertness training. Currently, he is a full-time faculty member of the Ateneo de Davao University's psychology department. He also serves as an affiliate and a mental health practitioner for the Center for Psychological Extension and Research Services, or COPPERS. He's also an invited speaker for mental health, positive psychology, counseling, and well-being across the Philippines. Outside the academe, he spends his free days advocating for mental health in schools, communities, and organizations. He's also a consultant for some organizations regarding implementing positive workplace behaviors, positive organizational changes, mental health in the workplace, positivity in the workplace, strength spotting, strength-based leadership, and stress management. So, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folks, let us all give a warm welcome to Mr. Gabriel Sebastian Lazada.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for extending this invitation. Might ask if you can, how many of you are undergraduate students and how many of you are in postgraduate? Can you type one if you are postgraduate? Sorry, if you are finishing your undergraduate degree, and two if you are completing your postgraduate degree. Three if you have completed your postgraduate degree. So I know context. Right. All right. So fair amount. All right. Excuse me. Um, and then just a quick um survey. How many of you have heard acceptance and commitment therapy? Uh, just say, or have you heard of acceptance and commitment therapy? Yes or no na lang, but it would be easier. Yes, if you have heard about acceptance and commitment therapy, and no if you haven't. So there's one, there's no. Oh, so most are no. I'm it's like Rogerian. Let's hopefully clarify that thought, no. No. Okay. I'm sure most of you are aware of CBT. Okay. Um, and acceptance and commitment therapy is more of a third wave behaviors therapy. So it comes after CBT and REBT. It has or third wave psychotherapies or behavioral therapies are ACT, DBT, MBSR. Sila yung magkasabay. And here I'll try to do justice in trying to introduce acceptance and commitment therapy. So, because most of you have no understanding of acceptance and commitment therapy, which is good, um, I'd like to first come up with a uh, parang disclaimer. This short seminar might be uncomfortable because if you do some of the experiments, I will ask you to think about things that make you a little bit uncomfortable, but all experiments are voluntary in nature. Okay. So this seminar, sorry, might make you a little uncomfortable with thoughts, feelings, and emotions you have been trying to avoid. Might also make you feel insecure to some extent, especially when you make self-judgment about yourself. Right? But aren't we all insecure in our own ways? Some of us are insecure of the popularity that others are gaining. Some of us are insecure that of the achievement of other people. Some of us are insecure about the looks of other people, the way how they have how happy they are. And I would even argue that that's good because we begin to realize that we're not that perfect. We want to be, but we can't. When you have all these feelings, I like you to acknowledge that it's there. The feelings of insecurity that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, pangit ako. I'd like you to acknowledge that. And acknowledging does not mean that you like the feeling. Acknowledging means that you are ready to make room for it. It's part of acceptance. When we talk about accepting something, we do not necessarily like the feeling. I might accept that I have failed a couple of times. I might not like the feeling, but I know it's there. And that is acceptance. And keys to success for this seminar is mind yourself, not others. This is a personal journey. This is, in a way, personal journey. I've been told when I give these kinds of workshops and trainings, parang mini retreat siya. And so, the best way to understand, and from experience, the best way to understand clients is to understand yourself. I respect Freud. I respect what Freud has done for our scientific community, especially in psychology. He had the courage to speak out and provide information and stands that were not widely accepted. And for that, he's brave. But I'm not a believer in Freudian psychotherapy because acceptance and commitment therapy is evidence-based. It's a behavioral thing. It's a third wave behaviorism, to be exact. And so when we come into, and the reason why I'm mentioning Freud right now is, if there's one thing that I take away from psychodynamic slash psychoanalytic theory, is to mind your countertransference. Why am I annoyed at my client? Why does this, why is it that whenever I talk to my client or about to talk to my client, naiinis ako? And this is something that you have to look at later on when you go into therapy. To focus on yourself, not others. When you're in therapy, it's just you and your client. Most of your attention should be with your client, but part of it should be with you. And that's how we get to practice things. Be open. Be open means we all are running away from something. If you are not running away from something, then you are not open about it. Everyone has something that they are not happy about themselves. And so, openness means acceptance. And acceptance means you are willing to make room for it. Be honest. And if you are open to it, try the exercises. Because the exercises will help you understand acceptance and commitment therapy more. Okay? Can I have a volunteer? But before that, let's practice confidentiality, please. Whatever we discuss within this call is just strictly between people here. And please, when you know the person sharing, do not take that against them. This is a safe space, and we should practice that. So, can I have a volunteer who is more than willing to be open about what was their worst description that you've said to yourself, in private or in public? Anyone who want to type it down? That's fine. You want to use the mic? That's fine. Anyone want to share? What is the worst, or not necessarily the worst, what is a bad description that you have said to yourself, both in private or in public? I'm not smart enough. Why am I here? I don't deserve this. I shouldn't be happy. I'm not worthy. And when you tell yourself, I'm not worthy, masakit. Because there are a lot of things that tell you that you should be worthy, but you're not. And so, when was this first thought that I'm not worthy occur? There's someone who sent me in private, no? Sabi, pero embodiment of worthlessness. If you don't want people to say who you are, you can send me a message. Like, makita natin. I'm never gonna be good enough for anyone. I'm never going to reach my ambitions. I'm not equipped with any special skills compared with others. Ang sakit, no? But this is not the first time that you've said that you're not worthy, or that you've thought that you're worthless, or that you're not special. When was the first time that you've told yourself this thought? Probably as early as grade 4 or grade 5, when people did not remember my birthday, when people did not greet me on my birthday, when all of my classmates were becoming honor students and I wasn't, when my tita or my tito or my mother or my father, they took my brother or sister out for their birthday. And ako hindi. When my closest friend left me behind. And it hurts. It hurts so bad. And let me tell you about myself. So, in acceptance and commitment therapy, I was fortunate enough to be given a scholarship to attend a conference in Dublin, Ireland. The people you see in the picture are the heavy hitters, the trailblazers, the luminaries of acceptance and commitment therapy. And the person who found acceptance and commitment therapy, Stephen C. Hayes, the guy you see second picture. And the first picture is Kelly G. Wilson. Sila dalawa yon. It's Hayes, Wilson, and Strossel. Sa right niya, Russ Harris has a lot of books. Happiness Trap is one. And beside that is DJ Moran. He wrote Act and Practice. And why am I showing you this? It's not to show off, but it's to tell you from a layman's perspective. I'd like to put like considered to be really good. I've had training from Hayes, Wilson, Harris, personal. I've attended their seminars. I started the ACT Philippines group. I have 6 or 7. I've taken ACT for introductory and beginners from Harris. I'm taking ACT from Stephen C. Hayes. I'm taking a values class from Kelly G. Wilson. I have lots and lots of books. But I'm sharing this to you because right now, as I'm talking to you, I still feel like an imposter. Because if I compare myself to other people, I still don't know nothing. I still have nothing to know about ACT. To you and to some of my colleagues, it might be that I know a lot about it. But compared to other colleagues in my age, when I went into that conference, I knew nothing. And when I go to therapy, it's like, ano nga yung kailangan kong gawin? And this feeling of becoming an imposter is always going to be there for me. But the thing is, even though that this thought is negative, I see this as something good. And we'll talk about that later. What we tell ourselves, I'm not smart, I'm not pretty or handsome, I'm not talented, my English is not good enough, my classmates are better than me, I'm not a good son or daughter, I wish I could be a better father or mother or a sibling. or a tita or a tito. This is what we tell ourselves sometimes when we are alone. When, kumbaga, if you had thoughts to yourself, ito yung mga sinasabi mo sa sarili mo. If only I was smarter, I would take this course. If only I was more attractive, I would definitely ask this person out. If only I was more talented, I would volunteer to make that painting. But we don't, because we let our negative judgments about ourselves talk. From the acceptance and commitment therapy point of view, the harshest critic to ourselves is not your rival, is not your enemy, is not your parent, but it's you. Nobody is harsher to yourself than you. And when we make these evaluations about ourselves, parang totoo eh. We act as if it were true. We believe it so much that all our actions are leading towards that. Hi, my name is Gab, and I'm not as smart as you think I am. But we always have that feeling of something needs to be changed or removed to make me a better person. I must reach this standard. I must change some part of me so that I can be better. So, personal experience number one, giving seminars, trainings, workshops. Right now, what if I listen to myself right now? And if you could hear my brain talking, it would, if I could put a microphone in my brain right now and you could listen to it might be telling you, meron kalahati sa 30 people in this call, hindi naniniwala sa'yo. When I give trainings on mental health, my brain would tell me, they don't believe you. You're an imposter. What does this do to me? Where do I go from that? You're a fraud. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're saying. So I try to train my mind to play in the good times and the bad. When I get a standing ovation, if I get a standing ovation, I savor it. And if I get a review that you're bad, I acknowledge it. Acceptance and commitment therapy is not focusing on completely accepting everything. It's knowing which to accept and which to diffuse later on. And when things are getting bad, you always want to push away the negative emotions, thoughts, and feelings. That's what CBT tells us, right? What does CBT or REBT tell us? That your thoughts are illogical, that your thoughts should be reframed, that the behavior caused by your antecedent has certain consequences. And so, when there's negative, anong ginagawa ni acceptance? Anong ginagawa ni CBT? Gusto niyang i-change mo agad yun. Because these are faulty thoughts. Black and white thinking, polarization, overgeneralization, all these things. Right? But my question here is, for people who answered, diba? The person who said, I'm not worthy, or the person who said that I feel worthless, or the person who said that I'm not special compared to others, or the person that says, I'm not worthy because my close friend left me. Tried to get rid of this feeling. And has it worked? How long have you tried to change your mind? And has it worked? Or are you still there trying to fight it? Nothing needs to be changed. You try to avoid them at all costs. Halimbawa, you have a client, heartbroken, just came off a breakup. Ano yung typical actions nung tao na kaka-break lang? Anong ginagawa nila to forget? They travel. They spend money on shopping sprees. They drink. They withdraw from others. They remove all social media. Why? Because they are avoiding the pain of emptiness. Right? They don't want to feel the pain. And what they do is they do things to avoid feeling the pain. Sorry to say, the only time that you won't have any negative feelings is when you're dead. When you're dead, you won't feel anything, happy or sad. May tinatawag kaming, may tinatawag si Russ Harris, dead person goals. Diba? What are dead person goals? Dead person goals are goals that can only be felt by a dead person. So for example, a client comes to you and says, I don't want to feel anything anymore. That's a dead person goal. Because only a dead person will not feel anything. I don't want to feel pain anymore. That is a dead person goal. Because no matter what you do, you will feel pain. I don't want to feel any form of anxiety or any form of stress. Again, that's a dead person goal. To completely eliminate anxiety and stress is not possible. But to limit it, it is. So clients come to you sometimes with goals that are not possible. So a quick history about the negative brain, very quick history lang, no? That we have this negativity bias of always thinking about something in a negative way for survival, right? And it stems from our ancestors wanting to survive. So whenever they see something moving from a distance, or they want to go into that dark cave, or they want to go into that forest that they haven't been, the first thing that they think about is to protect myself, to survive, to always think of something that will happen bad so that I can prepare for it. And we have evolved to gather and to attain that negativity bias in our brain. And that's a survival instinct. How do I protect myself? That was out in the savannah years and years and years ago. But now, what's happening? We're not in the savannah anymore. The lions, the tigers, the cheetahs, the dinosaurs are all replaced by anxieties, depression, rumination, failure, rejection, and looking back. So from external sources of threat, it now becomes internal. The problem is we could run away from the cheetahs and the lions and the tigers and the hawks and all these dinosaurs. But the anxiety, the depression, the rejection, the failure, the I'm not good enough, we cannot run away from it because this is internal. And what do we do when we feel these negative thoughts, emotions, and feelings? Of course, we run away. We distract ourselves. We avoid at all costs. Right? We don't want to feel it. Who would want to feel sad? Who would want to feel pain? Who would want to feel all these things? And so society has bombarded us with information that if you're sad, go shopping. People tell us that if we're not ourselves, we go places. But that is a temporary solution. Because when we've settled down, the pain is still there. The languishing, the anguish, the hurt, the grief, the sadness, it's still there. And has it worked? Maybe it has for a short term. You kind of forget your problem for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. But has it worked long time? Has it worked long time? I would say no. Because they're still in your therapy room. They're still there. They're just distracting themselves, but they continuously come back. And so we can run away from the bears, the lions, the tigers, the hawks, the dinosaurs. But we can never run away from our thoughts. And my question is, what if we accept that these negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions we have been running away for the longest time? What if we begin to accept that I'm always going to feel not worthy? What if we accept that I still feel bad that my closest friend left me behind? What if I accept that compared to others, I only feel normal? And what is acceptance and commitment therapy? So by definition, ACT, okay, it's not ACT, you say ACT, okay? It's a mindfulness-based behavioral therapy with the goal of creating a rich, full, and meaningful life, and at the same time accepting the pain that life is certain to bring. So acceptance and commitment therapy talks about not changing, but accepting our negative feelings, emotions, and thoughts that life brings so that my life would be a rich, full, and meaningful life. So I'd like you to let's start first with this exercise. Are you open to do an exercise? Are you still there? Would you like to do one exercise? We will do a lot, by the way, but for you to try, it's a thought exercise. So maybe you could give me a thumbs up or a comment if you're open to it, right? Sige. But again, I'm not forcing you if you are just open to it, okay? So I'll go with you. I'd like you to find a comfortable spot where you are right now and try to not be distracted. Close your eyes, put both feet on the ground, and take a few deep breaths for yourself. And I'd like you to imagine that you are at the entrance of a swamp. You are considering if you should go through the swamp. Why are you considering to go through the swamp in the first place? Because this is the only way that you get to the mountain. And at the summit of the mountain is where your dream is or your goal is. I'd like you to think about that. Right now, what is at the peak of your mountain? What is your goal? What is your dream? And that's at the top of your mountain. You have it in mind. Good. Let's go back to the swamp. Here, you have to walk through the swamp. There's no other way. But this swamp is different. It's not dangerous. Nothing will kill you. This swamp will just make you uncomfortable. And in this swamp, there are billboards and signs that says, you may exit anytime, pass through here. But the problem is, if you exit, you will be away from your goal. So as you walk through the swamp, it gets very uncomfortable. The water might be chin deep. It might be hot. There might be weeds. There are some things that bite you but are not dangerous. Might be sticky. For about 15 hours, it might be sticky. There's no end in sight. Are you willing to keep walking so that you could reach your goal? Thoughts will never kill you. Emotions will never kill you. If we make room for that, the same way that we make room for our swamp, maybe things will be better for us. But are we willing to embrace the discomfort that comes with life itself so that we get that rich, full, and meaningful life? Slowly open your eyes. This is what acceptance and commitment therapy looks like, feels like in session. And the goal here of acceptance and commitment therapy is to gain what you call as psychological flexibility. Psychological flexibility is the ability to stay in contact with the present moment, regardless of unpleasant thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. While choosing one's behavior that is of personal values. So this is a value-oriented therapy. What is valuable for you is what you should do. Okay? So I'll have a glimpse of I'll share to you about a client so that you will, you know, not too much to give information because that's unethical. But it's like this. Client comes to me, OFW, has a family problem. Family wants her home. She doesn't. I asked why. Ang sabi niya sa akin was because they're earning and they get to save. Okay. I asked her, if you go home, will you still be able to earn and save? Sabi niya, yes, but not much. But it has been causing a strain in the relationship, the marriage, and the kids are beginning to feel the problems at home. Cut the long story short, I asked this client, what do you value the most? Your family or savings? Obviously, the answer was family. And the next step was to help this client understand that the decision to come home also has unpleasant thoughts and feelings, but the behavior is towards the personal value of family that he or she believes and wants. Okay? So this is what psychological flexibility is. So a little background about ACT. It was developed by Hayes, Wilson, and Strossel in 1980. It's a third wave CBT. So first wave is classic and operant behavioral conditioning. Second wave is CBT, REBT. And like what I said earlier, third wave is acceptance and commitment therapy or ACT, DBT or dialectic behavioral theory, and MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction, John Kabat-Zinn. The assumption that ACT is trying to tell us, the assumption of what psychology is trying to tell us is that when you're healthy and you're happy, you're normal. And when you're unhealthy and unhappy, you're not normal. ACT does not believe this. ACT does not believe that unhealthy and unhappiness is immediately and inherently bad. Rather, it talks about healthy normality. So what is healthy normality? Diba? Healthy normality is the feeling of what is healthy is happy. But ACT does not believe this. Diba? So healthy normality is like, I must be healthy. I must be free from any pain of any form. I must be attractive. I must be friendly. I must be smart. This is what we are bombarded with. But ACT believes that human suffering is universal, that suffering happens everywhere, and that we cannot run away from it. And more importantly, ACT believes that some amount of human suffering is normal and even healthy. So ACT's worldview now talks about symptom reduction is not the goal. The goal of therapy is not to reduce symptoms. The goal of therapy for ACT is to increase psychological flexibility and the symptoms will go away. But we do not target the symptoms. For example, CBT tells you that if this person has a depressed mood, then you try to eliminate behavior that is the thoughts rather that are unhealthy. But in acceptance and commitment therapy, we try to increase the psychological flexibility and then the sadness goes away. For example, OCD. When you have OCD, the goal is not to reduce symptoms of OCD to live their life. This is from the point of view of ACT. Don't, kumbaga, wag niyo siyang i-confuse sa iba. ACT believes that the goal is not to reduce the symptoms of ACT to live their life. What does ACT believe in? ACT believes that the goal is to live their life despite their OCD. So, I'll give you an example here. And this was not my example. This was an example by DJ Moran, di ba? So, in DJ Moran's example, he had a client who had OCD. He had a father who had OCD. So, this father came into session and they did psychological flexibility. Shortcut mo na lang, ha? Right? So the father would not touch a doorknob. Of course, that's OCD. Classic. But DJ Moran asked the question, we are seated inside this room right now. What if outside this room, you see your son choking while eating? Would you open the door despite your OCD? The goal is not to reduce the symptom. The goal is to identify that OCD occurs and to live life despite it. So, ano underlying thought nun? Ang underlying thought nun is when the dad touches and saves the child, the dad will now look at the hand and say, this is dirty. Right? And so, psychological flexibility will try to say, now what do we do with that? You know what happened? Ang ending ng therapy nila was DJ Moran got the dad to touch dog poop willingly. And not wash their hands. Was it cured from OCD? Does the dad still have OCD? Yes. But did it affect that person as much? No. Another example of how act sees this. Teacher comes to session and says, I want to remove my shame. I'm ashamed, I'm scared, I'm anxious of when I am to teach. Because it's my first time teaching, I'm scared. And so what happened in therapy was the ACT therapist did this. Go to the nearest um, drugstore in your um, near your university. This happened in the United States. Okay. And go to the counter and at the top or most loud or the loudest voice that you have, say to the counter, I'd like to buy a box of condoms, please. And so the client was shocked. Say, what? What does it have to do with anything? But eventually, the client went to the drugstore the first time, kinabahan, and then finally said, I want to buy a box of condoms, please. The second day, ginawa niya. The third day, not as embarrassing. On the seventh day, wala na, parang wala. And then, comes back to therapy and says, I think I'm cured. I'm not ashamed anymore. And the doctor says, go back to that same pharmacy, but this time shout, I'd like to buy a box of small condoms, please. And emphasize the word small. And sabi niya, what? Why? So he thought he was cured. But eventually he was not. What's the point here? He learned to live with certain uncomfortable thoughts, leading to psychological flexibility. So in ACT, we always ask, I always ask three important questions. What is the function of the behavior? Because for me, the function is better than the form. So for example, a child throws a tantrum. A child throws a plate. People would say that the child is bad immediately. That's the form. But what is the function of the form? If the function of the form is to get the mother's attention, then the child succeeded. Function over form. Clients come to you and say, I failed an exam. I feel like I'm dumb. Okay. When you feel dumb, is that good or bad? Some clients would say bad, some clients would say good. So, clients who say that that's good, ask them why. Because it forces me to study more. Function over form. You failed a class and you had this feeling na ayokong ma-feel again. Is the failing of the class bad or good? It's actually good because it motivates the student not to fail again. Function over form. The function of the behavior is more important than the form itself. Second question I ask, is that behavior workable? When we say workable, is that behavior giving you a rich, full, and meaningful life? Is that towards the life that you want? And ACT sometimes borrows the magic question from solution-focused brief therapy. If you wake up tomorrow without any problems, what is it that you will do more often? That's a value thing. And the third question I ask is, what gets in the way? So what are you fused with? I'll go with this later. What are you avoiding? And what are the ineffective actions that you are taking? That's very important. If convincing yourself that you are smart or drinking or not doing anything is an ineffective action and you keep doing it, then that's not going to be healthy. So what now is psychological flexibility and ACT? Okay, so this is what is known as the ACT hexaflex. I'll go through this very quickly. Um, so the thing in red is what you call as your psychological inflexibility. This is what we talk about in terms na these are the things that we avoid. The things in black is what you call as your psychological flexibility. Opposites yan sila. So kung tingnan nyo, acceptance, experiential avoidance. Diffusion, cognitive fusion. Self as content, ang opposite niya is self is context. Conceptualized self, okay, past and present. Diba? Values, ang opposite niya is lack of direction. Committed action, ang opposite niya is inaction. So let's go at it one by one. And I'll start with, so activities from this point are voluntary. If you're not comfortable, you can just observe. If you can turn on your camera later, I'll ask you to do something, if that's okay. We'll turn on the camera for one exercise, okay? So here's a question. How can you learn to ride a bike if you're afraid to fall? And that is something here. How can you learn to practice ACT if you're not willing to try it out? So I'll start with contacting the present moment. So contacting the present moment, remember, ACT is a mindfulness-based, values-oriented behavioral therapy. So contacting the present moment, you are constantly engaging in the right now. You are being in the moment, and you acknowledge the hardships, pain, happiness, joy, boredom, hunger you are feeling right now. So let's try to practice that. What are you feeling right now? Let's contact your present moment. What are you feeling right now? Relaxed. What else? Anxious. It's a safe space. Don't worry. Talk about anything you want. What else? Excited, hungry. Okay? So that's contacting the present moment. Diba? Someone says nothing. That's good. It's turning off that autopilot. Diba? And opposite that is conceptualized past and future, feared future. So how do I get to practice contact with the present moment with my therapy or in my therapy? I ask my clients, can you tell me what you're thinking right now? Can you tell me what your mind is telling you right now? That's a simple way. Diba? I tell him that, oh, anxiety is normal. What you're feeling is something that anyone would feel. And then they nod their head. And then I say, okay, if I could hear your mind right now, what's your mind telling me? What do you want to do? That's always making them contact the present moment. Because we always fear about the past and we always worry about the future. But in the present, nothing's wrong. So take a moment to observe. Observe the things around you. Right now, wherever you are, just try to notice at least 3 things that you haven't noticed before in your room. It might be that one of your ball pens are misplaced, or there's a speck of, there's trash that you haven't noticed all day. Just try to notice. Okay? If you were to ask me, what is the problem with human beings and suffering? One is avoidance. And second is being fused with our thought. To be fused with our thought means we believe it too much that we think it's true. That is fusion. And I'll start with that. When we fuse with our thoughts, we believe that it is the absolute truth. So, let's take, for example, if a client comes to you and says, I am unlovable, what do you think the actions are of this person? Pag sinabi niya sa'yo, I feel unlovable, how do you think this person will act? Ano yung mga behavior na gagawin niya pag sinabi niyang I am unlovable? Positivity, she will tend to withdraw from people around her, right? That's correct. Low self-esteem, how is that manifested? How is that manifested? Yung low self-esteem. Pag sinabi ng tao, I'm unlovable. Okay? Feelings of inferiority, how is that manifested? Reckless behavior, right? Low self-esteem would be if someone approaches me and says I'm pretty, I don't believe him or her. Feelings of inferiority, I'm unlovable. Feelings of inferiority, whenever I get a promotion, I will not take that promotion because I'm not good. That's the problem. When we believe ourselves to be what we think we are, we manifest it. And we become fused with the thought. So when we are fused with our thought, we believe it as a rule that I must follow. I will not have any relationships with studies first. I must finish all my studies before I can do this. I must do all these things perfectly. When we are fused with our thoughts, we remember the past or think about the future as if it is happening right now. I was always the last to be picked in my group. If I go there, people will not talk to me. And so what happens? Especially the second one, no? If I go there, people will not talk to me. The tendency is because I believe this thought, I will not really go there. And so what diffusion does is it acknowledges that thought, but you work despite it. Huh? What does that tell you? It allows you to step back from your thoughts. What I always tell my clients are thoughts, emotions, and feelings are just like cars passing by. You don't have to ride the car, but you acknowledge that the car is passing by. So some cars are good and some are bad, right? But sometimes getting fused with positive thoughts are also bad. I'm the smartest person, perfect ako sa class, ako ang president, and I should be followed. Ako yung inassign, and I should not listen to anybody else. So diffusion basically is watching our mind think. And the opposite of that is fusion, when we believe so much our thought. Okay. Can we try this experiment? I'd like you to fuse with the thought. I'd like you to think of a negative judgment about yourself. Don't say it in person. Just think about it. Like, I am blank. I am blank. Do you have it in your mind? A negative judgment about yourself. You don't have to say it though, if you don't want. But someone shared, incapable. Okay. My question is, do you have it in mind? Do you have that negative thought in your mind? Thumbs up or yes? Okay. So others? Yes. Okay. Make sure na medyo masakit ha.
make sure na medyo masakit. Can you say that? If you can say it in a way na sabihin nyo talaga, like naririnig nyo sarili nyo, go ahead. But if you can't, because may ibang tao kayo, say it over and over in your head. I am blank. I am stupid. I'm not everyone's favorite. Thank you for sharing. Can you say that one more time? Wherever you are right now. I'm sure it hurts. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hurtful is it? 10 being super sakit. Yung sakit masyado. I actually thought of stupid. I am stupid. Go ahead. Go with that. If you could report it, like on a scale of 1 to 10, type your answer. 1 to 10. How is it? 8? 10. 8, 10, 9. Right? Okay. So it must really hurt. Can we try that again? I am blank. Okay. Now, can you do this with me? I have the feeling that I am blank. My mind is telling me that I am blank. Thank you, mind, for reminding me that I am blank. How does it feel now on a scale of 1 to 10 after saying it? 4. Bumaba. 5. 5. 5. Did we change anything? We did not. We just changed how you fused with your thought. Right? And so, one exercise that I also help clients with is, can you imagine the funniest person that you know? Might be a comedian, might be an actor, or a friend, right? And can you imagine their voice? And can you say, I am blank using their voice? Some of you might laugh or are laughing right now. But words are just words. Feelings are just feelings. Emotions are just emotions. The problem with us is if we believe them too much. Then that becomes the problem. So we learn to diffuse with the thought. Third, acceptance. Whenever we feel something negative, the tendency for us is to avoid it. And I told you this earlier. Avoidance is the root cause of all suffering. Diba? I don't want to feel these things. So the tendency is for me to distract myself, to opt out, to withdraw from people, to say, normal lang yan, other people are doing this way, or sometimes do substance. Acceptance tells us to make room for difficult and unwanted thoughts or emotions so it will not affect us as much. So imagine yourself as a circle. Diba? If I'll just draw this here na lang. And then, sorry for the drawing, ha. I'll just annotate. Imagine you are, where is it? Oh, sorry. For a while, ha. Para maging clear lang siya. Yun. Imagine that this is your problem. Okay? Sorry. Imagine that this is your problem. The red thing. And imagine that the yellow thing is you. Sorry kung hindi siya pantay. The tendency of human beings is to try and push away our problems outside our circle so that we don't have any problems. But the problem here of pushing away our problems is that we kind of focus on it. As we try to push it away from our circle, we kind of are making it bigger because we're highlighting it. And we get annoyed if we don't. Right? So, what is psychological flexibility? Psychological flexibility is actually making yourself bigger. Because if we make ourselves bigger, the problem becomes smaller. We're not, we are not taking away the problem. We're not saying to remove it, but the bigger we get, the smaller the problem becomes. And this is acceptance because as you grow bigger, the problems get smaller relatively. And so avoidance is the root of all suffering because we try to run away from the problems. We're not completely eliminating it. So we try to turn off that struggle that we have. And acceptance does not mean liking. I've always felt that my physical appearance is the reason why I'm single. But what if we accept the fact that I'm not going to be as thin as that? I'm going to accept who I am. I might not like where I am, but I accept it. And the opposite of this is experiential avoidance. Now, if I can, if you are willing, would you like to open your camera? And it's easier for me to see it this way. If you are open to it, no? If you can open your camera, that's great. And I'd like you to get a piece of paper. Any piece of paper para makita natin. Okay? So nobody's willing. Okay lang, hindi ko kayo pilitin. Okay? But if you want to do it with me, that'd be great. Okay? So there's one who opened the camera. Thank you so much. Okay, matakot. Okay? So imagine, I'm using a notebook. Okay? Try to sit up straight. Okay? Imagine that the paper or the notebook that you're holding is your insecurity, your negative feeling about yourself. I'd like you to, as far as you can, push the notebook away from you. Parang ganito. Okay? Push it away. Push it away. Like, push it away as yung feeling na extended talaga yung kamay ninyo. Both hands. Yeah. It's okay for the first 2 minutes, right? Yeah, just put it there. Stay with me. Like, push it really away. Ito yung mga feelings na ayaw nating ma-acknowledge, no? Can you live your life like this? Can you hold someone using this? Can you hug someone using this? Can you grasp life if you keep doing this? Sakit, no? And this is what it feels like to push away life. What I want you to do now is slowly put down the notebook on your lap. It's still there. You look down, the thing that you are avoiding, it's still there. But can you hug your loved one? Can you do the things that you like? If we continuously avoid the things in life, this is what will happen. So we drop the struggle. Thank you for those who turned on their cameras. We'll proceed. Self as context. Sorry. There you go. Sorry, I'll give you about 10 seconds if that's okay. All right. So the third is self as context. There are two types of us. There's the thinking self and the observing self. The thinking self is the rational part of us. This is the part that we always use. We make judgments. We use in an everyday. But the observing self is different because the observing self does not judge. It just observes. Right? So the self as context talks about suspending judgment to yourself and noticing that you are there. Para siyang depersonalization, derealization. You're looking at yourself from the outside point of view. Diba? So, ang lumalabas is how we describe ourselves is sometimes an indicator of how we act and feel. Like, for example, I'm an artist. I shouldn't be rushed. I'm a psychologist. I should understand people. This is the thinking self that's working. But the observer self suspends judgment. So we play roles and act as if it was the real us. But self as context tells you that you are not your descriptions. When you begin to act like you are your descriptions, you begin to be fused with a description and that you act as if you were it. And the tendency is you attach yourself to a role. I should be a psychologist, I am a psychologist, and I should not get mad. That's not possible. And the metaphor here is the chessboard. The chessboard metaphor. When you play chess, it's black versus white. The white pieces are the positive ones, and the black pieces are the negative ones. So the goal in life is to eliminate as much black pieces and maintain as many white pieces as possible. But in self as context, we are neither the black nor the white. We are the chessboard observing things. We do not have to be focused too much on the positive or focus too much on the negative. That is self as context. Okay? Next, values. I like this very much. What do you want your life to be and what do you want your life to stand for is values. Values are not goals. Goals are achievable. For example, to travel the world. But values are never ending. For example, I want to experience something new. And so I travel the world. But if you want to try, if you value experiencing something new, traveling the world is not only the new solution. You try new food, you meet new friends, you go to different places. That's a value underlying it. Okay? If you are not the person who values winning, but nobody know you won first place, do you still win? Interesting question, no? If you are the person who values winning, but nobody will know you won first prize, do you still win? Now, is winning a value, or do you value appreciation from others? So winning could be the goal, but the value behind that is wanting to be appreciated by others. And clients sometimes don't know, and they come to therapy without values and they don't know what it is. So it's like this: a classmate who feels bad because he or she was not invited to the class values relationships. And what they always say, where there is pain, there are values. Ask yourself, why did you get hurt? And pain and values are two sides of the same coin. Meaning, if you get hurt, that tells us that you value that thing. If your friend leaves you, you value the friendship. But if a friend leaves you and you don't value their friendship, then it doesn't hurt. Okay? And sometimes what I do with my clients is I ask them to write a eulogy. Diba? Parang, supposing that you died and you were able to view a eulogy, your eulogy, what would you want others? Oh, correct. As you are viewing your eulogy, what would you want others to say about you? That's your value. Pag sinabi mo, I want people to say that I was good, I was kind, I went out of my way, I'm a family man. All these things are values. And then the last is, kaya nga tinatawag na acceptance and commitment therapy. There has to be an action component because this is also a behavioral therapy. So you do the action based on the therapy, the what their values are. Diba? So you do what it takes, even if things get uncomfortable, painful, and causes you a lot of discomfort. Diba? There's that willingness switch in you. Diba? So act in an easier way is accept your thoughts and feelings, connect with your values, and take an effective action. So the ACT approach tells us that it does not matter if your thoughts are true or not. What matters is if it's useful. If if the thought is true, then you use it. Sorry. If the thought is useful, then you go towards it. But if the thought is not useful, then you diffuse with it. We don't care whether the thought is true or not. I'm fat. I don't care. I'm ugly. I don't care. What matters is when you tell yourself you're fat, does it make you want to lose weight? If the answer is yes, then sometimes you tell yourself you're fat so that you can lose weight if you value losing weight for your health. But if you tell me that you're fat and you value and you say that telling myself I'm fat is not helpful to me, then you diffuse with that thought. If it's not useful, diffuse. If it's not useful, try to expand yourself. Try to practice psychological flexibility and always try to connect with your values. Okay? So final thoughts. Imagine yourself being a parent one day, or if you are a parent right now, and you have a child who has been struggling with his classes. He has been trying and studying, but is average at best. Your child approaches you and says, Daddy, Mommy, I'm trying my best. I really am. I just want to get higher grades so I will get the prize you set. Would you give this child a chance? Yes or no? Imagine that you're in that position. Yeah, most of us would, right? So Would you give yourself the same chance you gave your child? When you tell yourself you're struggling, you're having a difficult life, if you can give the chance to your child, your future child, then why don't you give yourself that chance too? And I like this. I'll end here. I'll end here. You will see clients, not now, maybe in the future. Ask yourself, are your clients sunsets or math problems? Meaning, are your clients math problems to be solved? Or are your clients sunsets to be appreciated? Despite what they are feeling, despite what they bring to therapy session, are you there to solve the problem, to solve the client? Or are you there to appreciate the client and be with them as you help them clarify their values, make a committed action, and live a life that they want? So thank you so much. That's my LinkedIn. That's my email address. If you wanna reach out to me, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel Sebastian Lizada, for that very thought-provoking and reflective talk. I surely learned so many things from you, and I'm sure everyone in the audience did too. Hopefully, everyone here was enlightened by our talk for today and has personal takeaways. Also, a friendly reminder to everyone that if you have any questions for our speaker, you may send those on our chat box, and this will be answered during the open forum. And sending your questions, please follow the format provided in the Zoom chat box, which is name, then followed by the actual question. Thank you. Okay, I hope that everyone is still here with us in Zoom. Before we proceed to the second half of our program, we have a mini game prepared for all of you. So for this quick icebreaker, Miss Jana has prepared something for us. So take it away, Miss Jana.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Trixie. I hope I am very audible on your end, given my dogs are barking at the back. But anyway, are you still guys with me? You can like react a thumbs up so that I know that you're still here with us. Okay, that's good to know. So, for the icebreaker, guys. Okay, so I am actually sorry about the dogs. Wait, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So by the way, yeah, I'm Trixie. My name is also Trixie. I'm actually different from the host of this event, but I'm actually one of the facilitators. So for the icebreaker, we'll be doing the guess that gibberish. Are you guys familiar? How does it work? Or the main objectives of the game? I think it was actually like known around 2021 during the surge of pandemic when actually Instagram created a filter creating the gibberish, so everyone is actually looking after it. So basically the main objectives of the game is actually for you to read all over again the set of phrases or words that we will be giving to you for you to be able to arrive to the certain word that we're actually getting. So you'll be given like 10 seconds for each word for you to able to guess the gibberish, and then I'll be sending a start and end words or phrases in the chat box just for you to know that you can actually send your answers there. So just a quick idea, the first person who will be getting the gibberish right will actually be getting 50 Gcash load from the facilitators. So don't worry, all of the your answers will be recorded and actually be monitored by our facilitators. So just for an exercise, I do have here an example. Okay. So the sample here, gibberish, is actually you, me, verse, and then city. So I'll be sending here.
University.
Yeah, okay. So for the mechanics of the game, just for organization, we'll be asking for you to chat it here in the chat box just to monitor who will be getting the first right answer. So for this case, since Miss April Rose is the one who actually chatted the answer, we'll be counting it as the right answer. Okay? Is everyone clear? Do you still have any questions before we start with the first word? Okay, so I hope everyone is ready. So don't worry, all of the gibberish or like words and phrases that will be flashed on your screen will actually be have been discussed by the speaker. Okay, sure. So for the next slide, okay. So okay, you have 10 seconds. Okay, so okay. Stop. Okay, so we'll just be stopping by Miss Jensen's answers. So the first one who actually got the word acceptance is actually Dane Irwin Ricafort. Is it also same with the other facilitator screen? Just for confirmation, please.
Yes po, Miss Jana.
Okay, got it. So yeah, that's the correct answer. It's actually acceptance. Next slide, please. Okay, so next word is this one. Again, after I click the start. Okay, so based on my screen, right after I send the word start, the first one who actually sent the right word is actually Adriel Joyce. For confirmation, did I got it right also in your screens?
Miss Jana, after the start, right?
Yes, after I mentioned start, because it's actually written in the objectives that after I click the start, or like after mentioning the start, that's the time that you can actually say your answers.
From what I'm seeing po, Miss Jana, April Rose Australia after your start,
Okay.
5:35, and then she commented on 5:35 as well.
Okay, just for confirmation, organizers, it's April Rose. Okay, got it, got it. So please record that one. Okay, for the next gibberish, please. Okay, this one is actually 2 words. This is actually one of the ACT model that was discussed. Please recap. Okay. 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 So yeah, that's right. For confirmation, is it Dane Irwin Ricafort again for this one?
Yes po, Miss Jana.
Okay, got it. That's the correct answer. It's actually one of the ACT model that was discussed earlier by Sir Gab. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, so based on my screen, the first one who answered correctly is Marie Audrey. Just for confirmation.
Yes po, Miss Jana.
Sorry.
Yes po, Marie
Okay.
Audrey.
Okay, got
Breva.
it. Okay. Yep. So that's the correct answer. It's actually committed action. Okay, so I think that will be all. So don't worry, all of the winners will actually be contacted by the facilitators right after this webinar. Thank you so much, Ms. Trixie. I'll give it back to you.
Congratulations to our winners. That was a truly fun icebreaker. Please message one of the organizers for the information on how you will claim your prizes. So thank you so much, Miss Jana. So now let's move on to the open forum segment of our event. May we request Mr. Gabriel Lazada to join us by opening his camera to answer the queries from our participants. So again, I would like to remind everyone, you may choose to send in your queries through the message box, but just be sure that when sending in your message through the chat box, please use the format name, then followed by the actual question. You may also raise your hand by clicking the raise your hand button on the lower right portion of your Zoom screens, and wait to be acknowledged by me, your host, before stating your name and question. Thank you. Please don't be shy on asking any questions to our speaker. So, oh, hold on. Okay, so no one's gonna ask anything. Clear na po ba lahat? Can I see any reactions? If anything is clear na, so we can proceed on the awarding of certificates po. Okay, so from Faith K, her question is, will ACT benefit someone who has bipolar disorder po?
Yes. It's one of the most if you look at empirical evidence, it's showing to be one of the most, if not as effective as CBT. Primarily because in ACT we try to help clients. We have to help clients with bipolar, diagnosed with bipolar disorder, understand their moods and try to live with it. So, for example, when they have their depressive episode or their mania or hypomania, depending on which bipolar diagnosis it is, then we help them identify what are the avoidance issues that they use, what actions that they want for a life that they believe is good for them. And we put mindfulness based therapies, so that interventions rather, so that they can understand their current mood more.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel, for that answer. We hope your question was answered po, Miss Faith. Miss Colleen. Colleen is asking, can we apply the spitting in the soup technique in ACT?
Not necessarily. I think that's a different approach. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Adlerian approach or a Jungian. We don't necessarily spit in their soup. We just tell them that there are things that you have been doing in your life that have been ineffective. That's why you are here. Are you try? Are you willing to try something new? so that you can live a rich, full, and meaningful life.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel. Do you have any other questions to raise? Anybody? Okay, Miss Colleen. All right, so I think that's the end of our open forum since no one's asking any more questions. I hope that our speaker was able to answer some of your curiosities. So thank you so much to our dear participants for actively participating in our open forum portion. Once again, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our speaker for gracing us with your time and expertise today. Now, as a way for us to express our gratitude to our dearest speaker, please allow us to present the e-certificates of recognition to Mr. Gabriel Sebastian Lizada. Please allow me to read a citation on the certificate. Excelsa Psychological Services Certificate of Appreciation. The certificate is presented to Mr. Gabriel Sebastian Lizada, registered psychologist, registered psychometrician, master in counseling, and diploma in positive psychology for his invaluable insights, experiences, and expertise shared with the participants of the webinar, Acceptance and Commitment Skill Building, given this 16th of September, 2022, signed by Mary Easter Claire S. Torres, our lead psychologist, and Mr. Ralph Verhill, FD, our internship coordinator. Thank you for making time to join us today, for sharing your knowledge with all of us, sir. We are beyond grateful for all of your inputs. So I would like to ask you, sir, to just keep on your camera for a quick photo opportunity to commemorate for this moment. We also would like to acknowledge the hard-working and efficient members of the organizing team. Without their help, acceptance, and commitment building, skill building would not be a success. So thank you so much to my group mates. I really appreciate you all. So I also would like to, I'm sorry. Shoot. All right. Okay. So for the photo op, 1, 2, 3. Right, okay na po ba? Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Right, so before we formally end our event, a friendly reminder for all participants to accomplish the short evaluation form by scanning the QR code on the screen or clicking on the link sent through the Zoom message box. So don't forget to fill it out, as this will serve as the basis for the distribution of the certificates. So can check on the chat box. Also scan the QR code on the screen. All right, thank you so much. So we have finally come to the end of the acceptance and commitment skill building. To round off everything, I would like to call on Ms. Lalay for the closing remarks. Ms. Lalay?
Thank you, Ms. Trixie. So again, thank you once more to Mr. Gabriel Rizada for taking the time to share his knowledge of acceptance and commitment therapy. It was a thought-provoking webinar, sir, and enlightening and educational afternoon indeed. So in behalf of Excelso Psychological Services and the organizers, we would like to thank all of our attendees for their participation. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who came out and contributed to the event's success. I hope we can incorporate what we have learned about acceptance and commitment therapy today to our work and daily lives. And then this webinar or talk reminds us of how exciting it is to work in the helping profession. So before I conclude, let me remind us of an important key to success, being mindful to ourselves and others and being open. And it is my hope that everyone will accept themselves and commit to doing things that make us happy and worthy. So again, thank you for helping this webinar a success, and have a good night, everyone po.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lalai. Again, we would like to remind our dearest participants to please accomplish the evaluation form. You may scan the QR code being flashed on your screen again, or you may click the link provided on the chat box. E-certificates will also be provided once you accomplish this form. Also, as a souvenir for this wonderful event, we would like to request everyone to have their cameras open for a short picture takings. If you don't mind, please open up your cameras. We would really appreciate it. Right, don't be shy, guys. Tayo lang naman. Right. Right. Ready na ba tayong lahat? Si Sir Gabriel, nandyan ba? Not sure. Great. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Right. Okay na ba tayo? Thank you so much, everyone, for that. We truly hope that you have learned a lot from this and use it as a tool we can use to provide service to others and to ourselves as well. Thank you so much who attended the acceptance and commitment skill building. For the last time, I am Trexie, one of the clinical interns here at Excelsa Psychological Services, wishing you a wonderful afternoon and a fruitful rest of the week. Bye.
Enjoy the weekends. Bye.